Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Let's open up that waiting room and let people in as, yes, we are a live show here on Daily with Doc. And if you'd like to join us, go ahead and go to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. My name is Becca Dukes. This program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you will find resources to help you in this journey we call life find a better health journey. So go to dailywithdoc.com, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter so that you can get information that comes out as to when we are going live and also to replays so that you don't miss a single episode of Daily with Doc. Also on our website, we have a good foods, bad foods list, and we have other articles to help you make the right choice when choosing what it is missing for your own health as well. And this program is being I said that already. But this program is a resource for an amazing community of health advocates, health coaches, and people just care about people and want to make sure that they are getting what their body needs as well. So if you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them. Tell them thank you. They took the time and cared enough about you to share this program because they know that there's information within that it's going to help you maybe open your eyes to the options that other interview. And if you have any questions, they're going to be your primary point of contact. All right. And if there is nobody to thank, if you found us on your own, I do have a call team standing by at 855-949-3377. This is a team of certified holistic health coaches that have been trained in the certified health course. And more information about coach.dailydoc.com. So without further ado, today is Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. If you're here live with us, make sure that you got that chat open and also watch that profile smile. Smile, I should say, because that is what the rest of the world is seeing as they are watching us out on the different platforms, which I want to do a shout out to all of you who are watching us on those platforms. And whether you're on the platform watching the live or the replay or here live with us, put in the chat where you're joining us from so we know what the reach is, as I know that we have people around the world tuning in and waking up to the benefits of nutrition and what we put in our bodies. Today on Daily with Doc, we're going to do Q&A as we always run out of time for questions. So folks, if you're here live with us or out on the platforms and you have a question, go ahead and put that into the comments. If you're live with us, you can raise your hand and we will call upon you in the order that your hand was raised. And I can't think of a better person, well, besides Dr. Wallach, to answer questions in regards to what is like, well, why are people sick? And what can we do to correct that? Then Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Now, Pharmacist Ben has been a pharmacist for 4 decades, which is kind of crazy, but he is just full of knowledge. He has been a lecturer on so many different, I think it's over 200 different programs, or maybe not that many programs, but that many episodes, at least, well, maybe even half of them with us. But he is also, you can look up Brightside Ben. Is that still going, Ben?
Nope, GCN's out of business, but I have another podcast called Frankie and the Pharmacist.
All right, so we've got Frankie and the Pharmacist, and let me finish introducing you, and then you can add to that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we are honored to have Pharmacist Ben as he looks at the body at the cellular level. And not only is he trained in pharmaceutical land, but he's also taken that extra step into looking into nutraceutical land and what we can do to help the body perform at its optimal best. But not just that. He breaks it down and explains to us why things happen and what we can do to stop or correct. So, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you so much for joining us today. I always look forward to Fridays.
Okay, why is that?
Why? Because we have so many people that raise their hands and want to ask questions.
Okay.
And it's like a whole hour packed full of just nonstop education.
All right, so, I like that.
Thank you.
So a couple things here, Miss Rebecca. First of all, I didn't hear you say that part about we're just silly lay people and we're not as smart as doctors, so don't take anything we say seriously. and go to your doctor if you want to be healthy, because doctors know everything and we don't know anything. You forgot to say that.
Well, I forgot to say that because you always dislike when I do say that.
Let me just say, I'll say it for you. We're all really stupid. Your doctor's really smart. Don't take anything we say seriously. Always believe your doctor. Did I say that right?
Something like that.
Oh.
This program is for educational purposes
Oh,
only.
okay,
It's not
okay.
meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor is it
Right,
meant to diagnose or cure.
because we're all really stupid and they're really smart. Isn't that the other part? Isn't that what that really means? Of course I'm teasing you, but that's
I
really
know,
the mindset.
I know you're teasing.
I'm kidding, but I'm half kidding, because this is the mindset we have. And the reason we have it is because we're suffering from the worst kind of virus you can suffer from, which is a mind virus, a mental virus. And that's why 50% of people, even on this call or more, when you're sick, you're going to the doctor. And even though we know that you're not going to get, nothing's going to happen, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, we still do it. Does that mean doctors don't have a place in the pantheon of medical professionals? Of course they do. A very important place, a very serious place. But that place is not to deal with lifestyle issues, and we need to make that distinction if we really want to get better. If we really want to take care of our high blood pressure, our diabetes, our weight loss, our autoimmune disease, our dementia, 80 to 90% of our health challenges, it's on us. And that's why, the first thing you said, or one of the first things you said was, why are we so sick? That's why we're so sick, is because we've abdicated responsibility for taking care of our bodies in a lifestyle fashion. And this all has to do with the fact that, number one, we've abdicated responsibility on our own. But number two, we're convinced that we're not smart enough. And that's why I tease a little bit, because that's what it sounds like. We're not smart enough. We are smart enough. Everyone out there is smart enough, because it's not that complicated. It's not that complex. And as I also teased AJ, and sometimes I say, what's the disease smart people suffer from? Overthinkitis. We overthink. Garbage in, garbage out. Giggo. Boom. Bad stuff in, bad stuff out, good stuff in. Boom. Mic drop. Your doctor is not equipped to do that. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean they're evil. It doesn't mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean they want to kill you. It doesn't mean they're hostile. None of that. It means they don't have the tools to do it. And I'm telling you, people, because I've seen this so many times on both sides. I've seen the recoveries and I've seen the suffering. We can do this. The body can turn on a dime, but we have to be able to turn on a dime. I always talk about the biochemistry and the biology because I don't want anybody to think that I'm just giving you assertions, just saying that. I want you to understand it. And I think it's really important once we understand it, whether we do anything with that understanding or not. They say knowledge is power. It really isn't. Knowledge is potential power. Action is power. And whether you do anything, when you take any action, that's on you. But to understand is the first step. That's why the word doctor means teacher, because that's what a doctor should be doing, is teaching. It has become about addressing all of our lifestyle needs, even as silly as buckling up our seatbelts. Doctors are responsible for telling us to buckle up our seatbelts. They're responsible for telling us we're not to smoke. The silliest things that we should all know how to do, we've medicalized. And this word medicalization is very important to understand, because this is the real problem, is that we medicalize what should be lifestyle issues. So this is not about doctors being mean or bad people. They're beautiful people. And I have a lot of good friends who are doctors. Every time I go to a hospital, either to visit somebody or as a professional, I'm always blown away by how kind, how compassionate, how caring, not just doctors, EMTs and nurses and PAs and even the receptionists are at the hospitals. They're beautiful, beautiful people, but we're giving them a job that they're not equipped to handle, and they're taking it. They're taking the job. And by the way, this all started, believe it or not, the whole medical paradigm where you go to a doctor and he says, he looks at you, he diagnoses you and gives you a medication. This is all only about 200, probably about, let's see here, about 220, 230 years old. It started with the French Revolution, believe it or not. The French Revolution was a revolution against royalty, against people who would hold themselves above regular people. And it was the regular people who revolted. And this is what they mean by they stormed the Bastille. And one of the things about the French Revolution is they wanted to take medicine away from the priests, the priestocracy, and away from so-called doctors who considered themselves to be somehow deities, similar to the priests, and they wanted to put it back in the hands of the scientists. And by the way, the first nutrition studies were done in the French Revolution because they had this idea, and even though the French Revolution obviously had its problems, they had this idea that human beings could fix themselves naturally through foods, through diet, through lifestyle strategies. Believe it or not, this was from the late 18th century, the early 19th century, the late 1700s, early 1800s, when they started to have this vision of taking medicine away from the priestly class and putting it back into the hands of the people through lifestyle strategies. Well, in short order, within 50 years or so, the medical model really kicked in with the advent of drugs, and that's a whole nother story. But the point is that we treat doctors today the way they used to treat priests. The priests in the old days would take care of everything for you. You could do whatever you wanted, but the priest would take care of talking to God for you. You could be a crook, you could be a liar, you could be an adulterer, you could be whatever, thief, whatever you, murderer, you could be whatever you want. But if you gave the priest your house when you died and 10% of your income, he talked to God for you. Today we have the same thing. We have this magical idea that we can do whatever we want and we'll get a GLP-1 inhibitor to lose the weight, or bariatric surgery, or a metformin, or a diabetes drug, and we can do whatever the heck we want. And we can't, and we're paying the price. And this shouldn't be a bad thing, a bad message or a scary message. This is a great message. If you're dealing with multiple sclerosis, you can reverse it. If you're dealing with psoriasis, it can be gone forever, never to appear again. If you have blood sugar problems or diabetes, it could be gone in one day. One day, your blood pressure can stabilize. In one day. All of these kinds of things that we think we have to suffer for and have to go interact with the medical model for are reversible within the comfort of our own homes and living rooms and kitchens and bathrooms. And that is a belief system that we all want to have. That is the inoculation to the mind virus that says, oh, there's a measles epidemic, you got to get an mRNA injection, and only God knows what's in it. I was just reading how, this is how they play the game, by the way, and it's sort of a game here. This is how they play the game. They say, doctors don't want you to take vitamin A for your measles. That's not true. Vitamin A will not protect you from measles. And that's what they say. And of course, vitamin A is not going to protect you from measles. That's not how vitamin A works. That's not the point. Vitamin A is there to provide you with an essential nutrient that's responsible for hundreds of different chemical reactions in the body. This idea that nutrients don't work because they don't work like drugs is a classic misdirection by the medical model. Oh, we did the test on vitamin D and people still got cancer even though they took vitamin D. Hence, vitamin D is a waste of money. Oh, vitamin A, that's not going to cure your measles. You need to have this mRNA vaccine, and RFK, and everybody who says to do vitamin A, they're full of crap. They're full of baloney. That's not how nutrients work, people. Nutrients work by giving the body the raw materials it needs to address whatever's happening, for good, for better or for worse. That's not drugs. Drugs work by hitting the rock. They command the body. They order the body to follow the orders of the prescriber or the drug itself. That's a whole different way of looking at the body. And as a pharmacist who studied these things for over 40 years, 1986, going on 40 years. This is my 40th year. I can tell you this. There's no drug on planet Earth, none, that can reverse a chronic degenerative disease, which is most of our health challenges. And number two, you need drugs sometimes. You need drugs sometimes. You need antibiotics sometimes. Everybody should have pain pills in their medicine cabinet, in my humble opinion. And there are times when even something like a hypertensive crisis or where your blood pressure goes through the roof, sometimes you do need to have certain medications. Anti-nausea medications, another one. There's times that you need them. But this idea of just going about your business and living your life the way you want to live your life and following the standard American diet protocol, which we all know how terrible that is, and then fixing it with a medical intervention is not only is it not going to work, but it's going to lead to more suffering. I talked to a gal yesterday. She's got fibroids. Fibroids are a classic sign of estrogen issues and blood sugar issues, both of which are modifiable by lifestyle strategies through using essential fats, through using fatty vitamins, through reducing your intake of sugars, etc. She's got fibroids. That's obviously a problem, fibroids, and there's all kinds of secondary health challenges that are associated with that. The doctor took her out, wants to take out her organs, wants a hysterectomy. That's the remedy. And again, it's not a knock on them. She's volunteer. Nobody's forcing her to go in there. She's very excited to have her female organs taken out. She doesn't know it's about to hit her because your female organs make hormones. And the medical people say, oh, we'll just give you hormones. That's not how that works. So understand this. A, we can do it. We can all do it. And it's even better than that because the sicker we are, the faster we turn it around. The more weight you need to lose, the faster the pounds drop off. It may take you longer to completely lose all the weight or to completely resolve your health challenge, but the beginnings of it can happen instantaneously. Your lungs heal between cigarettes. Your blood sugar stabilizes between meals. As soon as you stop putting the stuff in that's causing the disturbance, the body adjusts itself homeostatically. It's built that way. And number two, you gotta believe it. You gotta really believe that that's possible. It can't be like, I had a friend who was a religious guy. I don't even want to tell you what religion he was, but he was really funny. He was telling me, he was preaching to me about religion, and at the end I was talking to him about just mundane kinds of things, rent and health challenges. And he says to me, yeah, I know about God, but let's be practical. And that always cracked me up when he said that, because this guy was a religious member of the clergy. Yeah, I know about God, but let's be practical. Never forgot that. But that's kind of how we all think. Yeah, I know about nutrients, but I got a problem here. I'm going to go to the doctor. Yeah, I know about vitamins, minerals, aminos, and fatty acids, the mighty 90 essential nutrients, but let's be practical. This is practical. I'm telling this as somebody who's seen it happen. It's logical if you understand how the body works, but you gotta believe it. You gotta believe in the power of nutrition and really the power of the body once it's to resolve health challenges, once it's given the basic building blocks. Now, I'm gonna take questions. I always feel silly answering questions in a way because I always say the same thing, you guys. I always say the same thing. So what we'll do is we'll just, after every question, we'll show how this relates back to MBFA, my body is falling apart disease, and the 3 points of bodily breakdown, the digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the adrenal thyroid axis, with special focus on the plane of disease. Really want to simplify it, the point of disease. Digestive system, that's the key. That's the key to everything, because everything stays the same inside a closed system. Nothing changes. The system is closed, it has a big circle around it, a big boundary, has walls around it. But with the body, we don't have a closed system. We got a port of entry through the intestine, and that's why the digestive system, food, and intestinal health, and all of the accoutrements that are associated with the intestine, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the stomach, etc., those are the critical piece to the puzzle. And with that caveat, let's answer questions.
What a great intro. I absolutely love that. I already told the team we're going to make this a recording all in itself.
Okay.
Because that was absolutely fantastic. You're like on fire, which I love it. So let's go ahead, and folks, again, if somebody shared this program with you, get back with them. But if you have not ever talked to anybody or even tried any of the products that are recommended on this show, make sure that you give us a call at 855-949-3377. And again, you're not going to want to miss any episodes. So sign up for our newsletter. Go to dailywithdoc.com. And you'll find that it's sign up right there on the top front page. And this is for everybody. Everybody. It's open to everybody. So we want to make sure that people are getting the information that they need to make decisions that is empowering and not taking your power away. And I loved that, Ben, where you said knowledge is potential power.
Action's power.
But action is the real power. And folks, we're giving you information to help you take action. So firsthand, that is up. Mary, go ahead and unmute yourself. What question do you have for Pharmacist Ben today? And don't forget, Ben.
Back?
Go ahead.
Back further?
Okay. Hi, Pharmacist Ben. Can you hear me?
Hello, Mary. What's CWA? Oh, Certified Health Coach. course.
certified
Silly
holistic
me.
health coach. Yes.
You're
What's
with
going on,
it.
Mary?
You're with it. Hey, I am going to give you an opportunity to repeat yourself
Okay.
on one question, and the other question maybe not. So the second question will be a little bit quicker. One is, I have a potential client who told me she wants to get off her blood pressure medicine.
Okay.
She is been taking it at least 10 years, and also
Did she tell you what it was? Did she tell you what the blood pressure was?
she had like 2 or 3 of them. So I said I didn't get the name. She also has blood sugar issues and wants to lose weight. So I said, we definitely can help you. So I said, well, let me ask the question today, and I'll
Did you
give
say
you
blood sugar issues?
Yes.
Okay. So, blood sugar issues, weight issues, hypertension.
Yep.
Rebecca, what are those all three part of?
Well, they have to do with digestion.
No, you just wrote a book on it.
Circulation.
You just wrote a book on it.
Metabolic.
Oh, metabolic syndrome. Thank you, AJ.
That's all metabolic syndrome. Those are 3 of the classic signs of metabolic syndrome. Dysglycemia, meaning messed up blood sugar, weight gain, and hypertension. There's probably other things going on too.
Yes.
So first and foremost, you got to treat this like a blood sugar issue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if she's on antihypertensives, you didn't mention that she's on anti-diabetic medication. Is that correct?
That I did not hear that.
Okay, well, immediately, if that's the case, I can't imagine that would be the case, because any, even medical school student, let alone a physician, should understand that that's all blood sugar related.
Yeah.
Everything is. So I'm pretty sure, I don't want to say I'm pretty sure, the doctor should have known that. Those are 3 classic signs of metabolic syndrome. Treat her like a diabetic. Healthy blood sugar pack.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for the foods that spike the blood sugar. Blood sugar glucose monitor is a good idea. Always keep in mind, and Rebecca can tell you this from as the author of that book, and everybody should get that book. Super easy to read, real short, but it's got lots of great information in it. Doc and Rebecca wrote that. It's not always blood sugar, because insulin, which is the hormone that helps the body handle blood sugar, has its own problems associated with it. So if your sugar is hot, goes up, your insulin comes in, then kind of like the fire department pulls the sugar out of your blood, pulls it into the muscle and the liver and the cells, etc., pulls it out of the blood. Your blood sugar will be normal, but your insulin will be high.
Mm-hmm.
So testing your blood sugar is not enough. You have to test your insulin, and unfortunately, nobody tests your insulin because the tests for insulin are very expensive. So I always recommend people have a blood glucose monitor, but that's not the end all and be all. In other words, if your blood glucose is normal, your fasting blood glucose is normal, that doesn't mean you're out of the woods. The reason a blood glucose monitor is nice is because you can use it to see what's happening to your body after you eat certain foods, or what's happening to your blood after you eat certain foods. It gives you real-time information, and that can be very instructive. So treat her like a diabetic. That means a healthy blood sugar pack, which of course has the essential nutrient, the mighty 9 essential nutrients, and then it has the chromium, vanadium. You might want to throw in the ultimate selenium, which is important for insulin, the ultimate MSM, which is also important for blood sugar. If you want to do a few other things, the Fucoid Z can be helpful for blood sugar as well. Drinking a lot of water first thing in the morning with Beyond Tangy Tangerine will dilute your blood sugar, and then also drinking, being well hydrated throughout the day, or particularly after meals, is also important. It's also a good idea to move after you eat. The worst thing you can do is lay down after you eat. Even just gravity will impair the digestive process. But moving around after you eat is a great way to lower blood sugar, especially if you're just eat a sugary meal or a bready meal, or you fall off the diabetic wagon. Moving will help pull the sugar out of your blood. Movement will pull the sugar out of your blood. Also, making sure you're getting enough fiber, like the ultimate microbiome with your meals, will help. Starting off all your meals with vegetable juices with the fiber, or salads, or even frozen vegetables will have a filling effect, and you'll find yourself eating less sugar. These are just like little tips for you.
Yeah.
Now, the hypertension, the high blood pressure, can be resolved on its own, independent of working with the blood sugar. There's a lot of things you could do. For example, have you ever noticed, Mary, or anybody out there listening, Becca, Ruth Ellen, you're the only people I could see. Is Phyllis around, by the way? I haven't seen Phyllis lately.
Not today. but she will be back next week.
Okay, so Rebecca, Ruth Ellen, I can see you, so you'll have to nod, and Mary, I can't see you, but you can tell me. Do you ever take a bath or sit in a hot tub, and then you stand up and you feel a little woozy?
Yes.
Has that ever occurred to you? Why is that? What's the wooziness from sitting in a hot bathtub?
You're
Is it because
What is it?
is it because it's opening up the blood vessels
Bingo.
and you get that rush?
Bingo. It's because your blood pressure drops. What does that tell you about antihypertensives or about treating hypertension? Take a warm bath. Hot baths twice a day. Don't take my word for it. You know you feel dizzy when you stand up. That's your proof right there.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying? When was the last time that her doctor that's writing for 3 hypertensives wrote a prescription for a hot bath twice a day? Right? These are the kinds of things. This is what I was saying at the beginning. We're not told that we have control over this. Not because your doctor's mean, but that's just not in his wheelhouse. That's not what he's trained to do. So, not because he's stupid either. He's not stupid. It's because they're not trained to do it that way. They're trained to give you a beta blocker and a calcium channel blocker. And by the way, when the body wants to close down the blood vessels, increase the blood pressure, it's doing it for a reason. The body is not stupid. They have a word called, for hypertension, they have a descriptor, an adjective for hypertension they call essential hypertension. Have you heard that term?
No.
Okay, well, that's a standard term in the medical lexicon for hypertension. It's a descriptor of a type of hypertension. What it means is, essential, the word, that there's no known cause. It's just part of you. It's just built into you. There's no reason why it's happening. We have no idea why it's happening. That's their perspective. However, I can tell you right now that hypertension, high blood pressure, one of the causes, there's a few causes, but one of the causes is an activated stress response. The reason why the bath works is because that relaxes the muscles. A hot bath or warm bath tells the body it's safe, and that will lower the blood pressure. So anything you can do to tell the body it's safe, either mentally or physiologically, like a warm bath is physiological, but you can do it mentally too. Spirituality, meditation, cognitive behavioral therapies. There's all kinds of ways of doing it, emotionally, through forgiveness, through kindness, through compassion, through helping other people, through petting a dog or petting a cat. That will also tend to lower the blood pressure. Another reason why the blood pressure goes up is because of toxicity that enters into the blood, and this is where our triangle of disease comes from. Once you get dirt in the blood, and I say dirt just because it's graphic, but it really is kind of dirt. It's toxins from the intestine, as well as immune cells, as well as parts of bacteria and bacterial secretions. Once they get into the bloodstream, they thicken it up. When we have toxicity that gets into the bloodstream through a leaky gut, it's called leaky gut syndrome, it leads to a whole bunch of things. That's what a syndrome is. A whole bunch of other things that happens. But the first step in it is inflammation in the blood. The blood literally inflames. And that inflammation can be perceived as a coagulation or thickening. They call it hypercoagulability, meaning it has a tendency to get sticky and sludgy, and this will also raise the blood pressure. You can imagine how the blood is thick. You got to push harder to get it through. The pressure rises because now the blood is not flowing as effectively as it should. So a couple of things there. The ultimate niacin is a powerful vasodilator, and that will open up blood vessels. Working on digestive health is important, particularly if she knows she has digestive issues, and sometimes people don't know, so you have to probe a little bit. That will also help. And then using digestive support will help, particularly the nightly essence, which is probiotics, but it's also an enzyme that helps clear out dirty blood, nattokinase. The ultimate enzymes taken on an empty stomach will help with the digestive system and also will help clean out the blood, Roto-Rooter-like. And Rebecca, you told me last time there's another product that had nattokinase in it that I'm not remembering.
The niacin plus.
There's another one that had nattokinase.
Nightly essence.
Nightly essence. I forgot what that was. You don't remember either? There's another one that has nattokinase, and that's something else to consider.
Okay.
Is it in the Daily Digest pack?
I forgot.
It's in the Daily Digest pack.
It might be in the Daily Digest pack. And also, by the way, water is not only going to be important for diluting the blood sugar, it's also important for thinning the blood. The Fucoid Z also has a blood thinning effect. And that's another thing that you can use. And when I say blood thinning, it's not going to be like a drug blood thinner. Ultimate EFAs, Fucoid Z, water. These all have blood thinning effects, but not like a drug blood thins. Doctors get freaked out when they hear about blood thinning effects of Fucoid Z, thinking immediately of drugs. They're not like drugs. The blood thinning effect is a natural blood thinning effect that works with the body. The blood thinning effect of a prescription drug is like hitting the rock. It's poisoning the body. It's poisoning the blood thinning system. The Fucoid Z thins the blood by having the blood by interacting with the blood cells, so everything spreads out. Likewise, the ultimate EFAs. So there's a ton of strategies there for you, and I'm going to give you one last one. Slow, deep, rhythmic breathing will also lower the blood pressure. There's so many more things that you can do. I don't mean to make this exhaustive or comprehensive, but this is a great start, and she will notice results quickly. And for longevity distributors, quickly is important.
Yes.
You want your customers and your patients and your clients noticing results quickly, and if you do it right, they can.
Great.
Thank you.
One clarification. When you say water,
Yes.
are you saying like purified water or distilled
I like distilled water.
I like saying water with minerals.
Yes, I like distilled water, first of all. And when you're drinking water, at least some of the time you want to put your BTT in there, because the more water you're drinking, the more you're urinating. And the more you're urinating, the more you're losing electrolytes and B vitamins and vitamin C, which you want to replace. So at least some of the time that water should have the Mighty 90 in there, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Okay, fantastic. The other quick question is, I have another person that's started the bone and joint pack and getting loose stools.
What do you think that's from?
Either digestive issues or it's too much.
Well, clearly, it's digestive issues. It is literally a digestive issue, but what is it from?
From what, the BTT or?
No, that's not what's caught. Not what is the trigger of it. What's the mechanism?
Combination of vitamin C and magnesium.
No, but what's the mechanism? That's true. Well, these are all the things that are stimulating or activating that response. The mechanism is malabsorption.
Malabsorption.
The reason that happens is because the minerals, like you said, Rebecca, the magnesium and the vitamin C, they pass through the intestine without getting absorbed. You got a small intestine and you got a large intestine. The small intestine is where most of the nutrients are absorbed. Some are absorbed also in the large intestine, but most are absorbed in the small intestine. The large intestine is where water gets pulled out of the stool or out of the stuff that's in there to form a stool. If the magnesium and the vitamin C are not absorbed, they'll pass through, and the body will use water, or because they're water soluble, they're high, they suck up water. The body will dilute those things with water, and you'll end up with watery stools or diarrhea or loose stools. It's a sign of malabsorption. Anytime you have diarrhea or loose stools after taking nutrition, you want to assume your nutrients are not being fully absorbed. That means that there's problems at the level of the intestine. Or it could also mean that you're not processing them upstream at the level of the stomach. Or it could mean you've taken too much, more than you can handle.
Right.
So a couple things you want to do is first of all, make the dose smaller. That's the first thing. And secondly, you want to correct any digestive issues that are affecting malabsorption, because if there is malabsorption, that means she's going to be functionally starving. Even if she's not literally starving, she's not going to have access to nutrients. And this is one of the hidden problems with digestive issues. When we have a digestive health issue, an intestinal health issue, number one, we've got this whole leaky gut thing, the dirty blood thing. That's the first point in the triangle of disease. But to compound the problem, you don't absorb. Do you follow? Because absorption happens at the level of the intestine. Once that becomes inflamed, you're not absorbing your vitamin C and your B complex and your essential fats and your electrolytes and all your nutrients. And now, in addition to having toxicity in the blood to deal with, now you're dealing with a lack of nutrition. So for all of these reasons, stabilizing intestinal health is very, very important. We talked about some of the things that you can do for that, but there's also flat out elimination diet where you eliminate problem foods. And that is a little tricky. It's a little bit easier said than done, but you write down everything you eat and you write down how you feel after you eat certain foods, and you look for foods that cause digestive distress and you eliminate those foods. And then at the same time, you do all the digestive support. So to answer your question about this gal, if she's having loose stools after the BTT and the OsteoFX, I think you said.
Yep.
number one, smaller dose. And number two, work on intestinal health. And number three, try using your nutrients with food. If you use the OsteoFX and the BTT with food, your digestive juices are going. And that will improve the likelihood of these nutrients getting through the intestine to the blood and not passing through and pulling water out with them.
Okay.
Okay?
I-26 is helpful as well, correct?
Now, I-26, if there is some dysfunction at the level of the intestine, yes, I-26 can help for SIBO, which many people have, and it wouldn't hurt to take it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary. Great questions there. We're going to move right over to AJ. AJ, go ahead and unmute yourself.
My man, Pharmacist Ben.
Up, AJ.
You know, you were talking a bit about getting dizzy. I have someone who has been on a medication for about 6 years and just started taking the brain and heart with some ultimate niacin with the nattokinase and ultimate daily classic. And he found that he gets lightheaded. So
it's lightheaded when? When does he get lightheaded?
He noticed that he got lightheaded and got a little nervous.
When? Well, like after he took his supplements, when he woke up in the morning, when he was working out?
I think he said in the evening, at some point, he stood up and got lightheaded and was concerned. And I suggested that he back off of the niacin plus and the ultimate daily classic because
I'm not quite understanding, AJ. He's getting lightheaded at the end of the day after a normal day of taking his supplements and stuff.
He mentioned getting lightheaded once. He didn't mention an ongoing thing. He had only been taking the products for a day at that point.
I wouldn't blame it on the products. There's lots of things that can cause lightheadedness. The most likely suspect with dizziness or lightheadedness is changes in posture. Every time we change our posture, either from a sitting position to a standing position or a lying down position to a standing position or a sitting position, and then you kind of change your body, there's a complicated series of adjustments that have to be made with the blood vessel system to compensate for those changes. And it is incredibly complicated. You have 50,000 miles of blood vessels in your body, and they all have to open and close at different rates. I mean, just think about this. You got these 50,000 miles. I mean, that alone should blow people away. But say you have 50,000 miles of blood vessels in your body, and each of these blood vessels has valves that causes them to open and close. That causes them to, not valves, but has musculature that causes the blood vessels to expand or contract. All that expansion and contracting has to happen synchronistically. It has to happen at just the right rate. Things have to open and close at just the right time, and some have to open and some have to close simultaneously. Can you imagine the coordination that has to occur, the biochemical coordination, the biological coordination for all that to happen? And that's mind-blowing. That whole thing is mediated or controlled by your adrenal glands. Those are your stress glands. Among other, the brain, there's a few other things too that are involved, but the adrenal glands are your blood pressure, largely your blood pressure control glands along with your kidneys. And so when you're under adrenal duress, third point on the triangle of disease, that can happen. People who drink a lot of coffee, people who do a lot of stimulants, people who have stressful jobs, or people who just have a lot of stress in their lives will oftentimes have adrenal issues that can show up as what they call postural changes in posture, hypotension, drop in blood pressure. Your blood pressure will drop when you stand up or change posture. Technically, they call that postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, because the tachycardia means the heart races really fast, and that's usually associated with the problem, because when the blood pressure drops, the heart rate goes up to compensate. You've heard of POTS, P-O-T-S. That's what it sounds like this person might be dealing with. I can't say specifically. It could be a lot of other things, but I would be focusing on adrenal health. The way this person can assess if that is the case is they can bend down and stand up and see if they get dizzy. Or they can sit down and stand up and see if they get dizzy. And in other words, change their posture and see if that happens. Sometimes this will happen to people when they go to the gym. If they drink coffee or they do caffeine drinks or something like that before they do their squats or they do their exercises, they'll notice that they're dizzy for that same reason. In order to assess if that's the problem, have them change their posture. An easy way to do it is to get their head really low and then stand up and see if that happens. If that is the case, they're dealing with adrenal issues, which is very possible. And there's lots of things you can do for the adrenal glands. Slow, deep breathing is the simplest way to do things. The healthy Star Pack gives you the basic nutrients that are involved, but the B complex is extremely important, as is vitamin C for the adrenal glands and all the electrolytes. Now, you didn't tell me anything else that's happening with this guy, except all we know is that he's got a little bit of a dizziness, which usually means a drop in blood pressure. So I would actually have to hear some other things that are going on.
Yeah, he had been on heart medication for a long time. He came to me, and he came to me because he wanted to prevent kidney failure.
Well, he's probably on some antihypertensives, I imagine.
Yes.
Some beta blockers. So that can lead to that hypotension, that low blood pressure that can cause dizziness. So I'd want to know a little bit more details, but it does sound to me like he's either over medicated, he's over antihypertensivized. Does that make sense? He's got too much antihypertensives going on, or he may have an adrenal issue, or he may have a heart issue, then the blood's not pumping strong enough, in which case that'll also cause hypotension, low blood pressure. And that's what dizziness usually involves, is low blood pressure.
You're the man, Pharmacist Ben. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So much great information. Thank you so much, Ben. We have so many questions coming in. Okay. And here's a question that, well, cheers, as I'm drinking my tangy.
Oh, that was cool how that just appeared out of the ethers. Isn't
like that. Isn't that cool?
Do that again. Oh my God, magic.
It's like, so Fred is wondering, is drinking vegetable juice with BTT and OsteoFX every day a good practice, or should alternating with water every other day be practiced? I work overnights, often for 7 days at a time. My goodness, buddy, you're working way too much. And sometimes I have a lot of, have a lot of stress. I use a 3.0 system with warm water and sometimes need to skip BTT, thinking it gives too much energy and I wake up early. So my Tangy Tangerine, which I love this combination, my partner introduced me to it, mixing it with fresh lemon juice. Tangy Tangerine mixed with water or vegetable juice or lemon juice. Does it make a difference?
No.
I know it tastes different.
I don't think, something tells me the taste of BTT and vegetable juice and OsteoFX isn't going to be great, but there's no reason not to. The only thing that I can think of is the fiber in the vegetable juice. If you keep the fiber, that can stick to some of the nutrients and may keep you from absorbing the nutrients. And that's a possibility. Other than that, there's no reason why you can't blend all that together. I will say vegetable juices with fiber are an amazing, filling, satisfying, and healthy practice. Drinking them is a healthy practice, especially for digestive health and especially for blood sugar health because of the fiber in there. So if you have a Vitamix, if you don't have a Vitamix, you should get one. If you have a Vitamix, use it liberally. You can make the most delicious soups with your Vitamix instead of juices just by blending tomato. All it takes is a tomato and a cucumber, and you blend it all up, and then you heat it, and it turns into the most delicious soup you ever had. Just a tomato and water, tomato, cucumber, and water. And then spices, and I do it 3 times a week. I make a soup with just 2 things. I'm a bachelor. I don't like washing dishes. I'm doing it all myself, and it's as simple as you can imagine. Plop a chopped tomato, plop chopped up cucumber, top it off with water, throw a bunch of spices, hit the button. Not only you have a juice now, but you got a great soup as well. You can use it for a base for shrimp, beans, mixed vegetables, frozen. You can throw a bag of frozen mixed vegetables in there. If you want a little bit of brown rice, you can throw some brown rice in there. It's so simple, so easy, and you get all the benefits of the veggies. And never underestimate the power of veggies, as long as some people have problems with certain veggies, including tomatoes, so you got to be careful there. But other than that, it's an incredibly easy way to make sure that you're getting phytonutrients and all the nutrients that are in vegetables. Always go organic, especially if you're juicing with them. You're going to concentrate the pesticides. So you always want to make sure that if you're going to juice, you want to make sure that you're either cleaning them off really well or ideally going organic.
All right. Thank you for that. And I just want to make one point. Vitamix takes the whole vegetable and mixes it all up, where some juicers separate that fiber, and that's what we don't want, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And if you do separate the fiber, if you have a juicer, save the fiber, and you can mix it up with tomato paste, and it makes a great thickener for sauces, and you can use it as a filler for meatloaf or meatballs. And there's a lot of things you could do with the fiber so you don't lose that, because there's lots of, not only fiber is important, but there are a lot of nutrients that are associated with the fiber that you can get, phytonutrients. If you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that fiber might be a problem. So removing the fiber will give you the benefit of the juices without feeding the bacteria for folks who are dealing with SIBO.
Okay, and the next question, since we're talking, it's not SIBO, but H. pylori.
Yes.
What can an individual, one, what is it? And two,
what is it? It's a fascinating story. Do you know, do you know the story of H. pylori, how they discovered, or do you know what it actually does, what it is?
Well, I know that it's like a bacteria that's in the digestive system.
Correct. H. pylori is associated with a lot of health challenges. I'll tell you the interesting story about H. pylori, but it is also should be recognized that it is, it's part of our natural microbiome. A lot of times bacteria that live in the intestine are fine and important and helpful, but once they get out of the intestine, we run into a problem with them. E. coli is the classic example. Everybody knows about E. coli and spinach, and as a pathogen. But E. coli is part of your natural, normal bacterial flora, and as long as it's in the intestine, that's fine. When it gets out of the intestine, it's problematic, and that's what H. pylori is. So H. pylori is a bacteria that lives in the intestine, but once it gets out of the intestine, it can wreak havoc on the digestive system, particularly, especially in the stomach. And there was when I graduated pharmacy school back in the 1980s, the two best-selling drugs every year were Tagamet and Zantac. I don't even know if people know what Tagamet and Zantac is anymore, because they've gone by the wayside, and I'll tell you why that's happened. But back in the 1980s, every day I would fill 30 or 40 prescriptions for Tagamet and Zantac, literally. Out of 150 scripts or 200 scripts a day, 30 or 40 of them for Zantac and Tagamet, because everybody had ulcers, or a lot of people had ulcers. Zantac and Tagamet are antacids. They suppress acid, and back in those days, it was thought that if you make too much, ulcers were caused by too much acid. You're making too much acid, so they would always give you an antacid. And there were these two doctors in Australia who said, wait a minute, I don't think it's the acid, because we know there's a bacteria that's also found in the stomach of people who have ulcers, and this bacteria, it destroys the stomach lining and makes it more susceptible to acid, and we think it's this bacteria. And nobody would listen to these two doctors. And they kept, it's like today that nobody listens when people have alternative points of view, which is one of the reasons why the medical model is such an utter failure, is because it's very closed off on new ideas. Institutions, the institution of medicine, like the institution of law and the institution of governments, and institutions come from the word static. Instit, S-T-I-T, means static. Stit, stays the same. Institutions stay the same. They don't change. They never change. In the book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Thomas Kuhn said, science progresses funeral by funeral. In other words, people have to die before new ideas come in. And this is how it always is with new advances. And unfortunately, people die while these new ideas are being laughed at and then violently opposed until they're finally accepted. So with H. pylori, these two doctors in Australia were screaming, no, it's not acid, it's H. pylori. Nobody would listen. So finally, in the early 1990s, they got this idea. They were so desperate, they each drank a big cup of H. pylori, a big cup of it. And sure enough, within a couple of days, they got ulcerations. Finally proven, actually, I think won a Nobel Prize. Don't quote me on that, but I think they might have won the Nobel Prize for this. The bottom line is today we give antibiotics for ulcerations, because now we've accepted that these two Australian doctors were absolutely correct. It's H. pylori that causes these ulcerations. H. pylori creates digestive disturbances upstream from the stomach, and it also can create some skin problems, including rosacea, which is a very difficult skin condition to treat because it's not a skin condition, even though most people will go to the dermatologist, or they'll use creams or topical products for dealing with rosacea. It should be regarded as an H. pylori issue. There are other inflammatory conditions that can involve H. pylori. So H. pylori is a problem when it gets out of the stomach. You could take antibiotics, and that's pretty much the medical strategy. But there's better ways of dealing with H. pylori, particularly using probiotics, using good bacteria. That's number one. And then correcting any digestive health issues, including low stomach acid, because stomach acid kills H. pylori. So H. pylori on its own will suppress stomach acid. That's one of its mechanisms. It affects the cells that make acid in the stomach. So acid will kill off the H. pylori. So doing apple cider vinegar with your meals, or Swedish bitters, or something along those lines, that can also be helpful. And then using let's leave it at that. I was going to say using things to patch up a leaky gut, but that's kind of piling on with supplements. But if you wanted to patch up a leaky gut, the Fucoid Z, collagen peptides, and the glucogel caps all have a building effect on the intestine. And then vitamin A also has a building effect on the intestine. It can protect against leaky gut. And then also foods that cause leaky gut, particularly fried foods, as well as lectins and gluten and components that are in grains and seeds and vegetables. Those can also be problematic. And I was not going to mention that because there's so many things to do, but that's another thing, another strategy that you can use to protect against H. pylori getting from the intestine into the stomach.
And your favorite probiotic?
Nightly Essence.
From the Longevity
line
is
now, there's a few. I noticed
Essence.
There's a few other ones they have now, but I like the Nightly Essence. The Nightly Essence has a bunch of bacteria. There's like 13 billion bacteria per capsule, and then there also has the nattokinase, which I like.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right, let's try to get one more question in. And Gary, please unmute yourself.
Well, Pharmacist Ben, how are you?
Hey, Gary, what's going on?
Okay, I used to listen to you on criticalhealthnews.com early in the morning on the Coast to Coast network, and I always heard your voice, never knew what you looked like. I said, boy, this guy knows what he's talking about, but he sounds awful young.
Not young.
Very young. And then all of a sudden I see you. I says, whoa. I said, oh, wow. I said, this guy really, he's mature. You sounded like a teenager on the radio. You still sound like a teenager on the radio.
Is that right? I'm trying to do my best deep voice, but it's not working.
Right. Now, you answered most of the questions about the blood pressure, because that's my main topic. I had a blood clot about 4 years ago. I listened to Becca and the doc for 4 years. Almost every day I'm on here. I mean, Becca, I don't know if you recognize me or hear my voice, and well, you can't see me because I'm not on, but I talked about the gluten, the black hair coming back, the blood, the dirty blood, all through the beyond Tangy Tangerine and the niacin and the MSM, and I still have a problem. And also knowing how to lower the blood pressure, spraying your face with cold water, breathing 7 seconds in, breathing 7 seconds, holding the breath, breathing 7 seconds out. Trying to do the vagus nerve, tapping on the vagus nerve, trying to do the mouth, doing the alphabet with the motions of the mouth, gargling. I still get blood pressure readings and I have them right here.
Home? At home or at the office or at the doctor's office?
Home.
Right. So first of all, cold water will have a tendency to raise your blood pressure, not lower it. So if you're using cold water, that's not. I'm saying that's the main cause, but just as an aside.
Well, all right. That's just one maybe that you disagree.
Yeah, I don't want to focus on that, but I'm just pointing that out. But what I do want to focus on, if you have a blood pressure cuff, is take your blood pressure, sit in a warm bath for 15 minutes, and take your blood pressure again. Guaranteed
Okay.
a drop.
All right, but normally,
Hang on, let me let me finish real quick. I'm gonna just say this real quick, and then I'll let you say something. So I'm not saying you're not going to obviously sit in the bathtub all day, but if you do it once a day, or once every couple days, or twice a day, or with a certain amount of frequency, you'll have a tendency to lower your blood pressure.
Okay, the only thing.
Secondly, let me just say one more thing. Secondly, if the blood vessels become weakened, and there's several reasons why that happens, the blood vessels will release factors that will cause blood to become stickier. It will slow down the blood and increase the pressure. So if the blood vessels are weakening and starting to break down, the factors that they will release will have a tendency to cause the blood pressure to go up.
Right. I think the blood pressure from all the previous years, but except for the last 4, probably there was weakening of the blood vessels.
Yes, that can
so that's the reason why I can't get numbers lower than like 149/83, 145/76, 162
That's
over.
not the end of the world. There's worse, but yes, it could have to do with deterioration in the blood vessels. When blood vessels, like I said, when they break down, the blood can become stickier in response.
Now, how can I repair that? I mean,
nutrients that build up the blood vessels, particularly protein and collagen, as well as vitamin C, have a blood vessel strengthening effect. And then also, we didn't talk about the digestive issue. If there's digestive toxicity that comes in through a leaky gut, that can also cause the blood to become sticky and slippery.
The only thing I could think of is toxins with like aluminum, lead.
I can't tell you exactly what it would be, but that's just a mechanism that can be causing it.
What mechanism?
The toxicity that gets in through a leaky gut.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I do yoga. The only thing I do biking.
How old are you, by the way? How old are you?
66.
And then what are the medications you're on?
Well, I am on no medications except one, which is losartan, and she just put. I don't know. I don't even know why I want to take that, but anyway, I do take it. You may not need it.
You may not need it. I mean, you want to see. You want to see if you need it. Losartan is, there's worse. But do you notice any side effects like fatigue, or anything like that?
No, nothing. I follow you guys adamantly, strictly, and the doc said to double up on the ultimate daily classics, which I did. Still no result.
It could have to do with the lining of the cell of the blood vessels is called the endothelia, or the endothelial lining, as opposed endo means inside. The endothelial lining of the blood vessels, when that becomes disturbed or distorted, vasoconstriction ensues. Blood vessels close down, cells will proliferate, leads to like a pro-inflammatory state, a pro-blood clotting state, or thickening of the blood, we'll say, state, and all of that can cause hypertension.
Yeah, I mean, I even eliminated 1 cup of coffee a day. I even eliminated, I drink a coffee substitute, if...
See what happens when you do the warm water, and that'll tell you that if the vagus is that'll tell you if there's a vagal issue, a parasympathetic sympathetic issue, or autonomic issue. And then the endothelia, the inner lining of the blood vessels, that's really important because this is where cholesterol plaques become a problem, and calcium. It's not, when you have cholesterol plaques, it's usually following endothelial dysfunction, or distortion or deterioration. And so if you don't correct that can lead to blood clots, or not blood clots, but atherosclerosis, like blockages. In fact, I meant to say this, Becca, but you know about Stan, our friend Stan, just got out of the hospital, or he just had triple bypass because he had some blockages and he didn't even know they were there, and that can happen. So you want to make sure that you take care of endothelial dysfunction using the strategies we just talked about, as well as taking care of leaky gut if that's an issue. And sugar can also be an issue for endothelial.
No sugar. One thing I want to ask you about. You mentioned a couple weeks ago about flour. Like, I use cassava flour in a.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's cassava or wheat or anything. Flour, by its very nature, just because of the way it's produced. I mean, what's flour? It's grain. It's seeds that are crushed up, and just the crushing up of the seeds can create changes in the fats, which will expose them to oxygen, leading to oxidation or rancidity.
That's what
Rancid fats are a big, big problem. It's cassava or buckwheat or wheat. Right? And I know people understand about gluten in wheat, but it's the distorted fats. Nobody even talks about that in all grains.
That's what I wanted to clear up. I wanted to make sure that that's what you said a couple weeks ago. So now that's true. I wanted to clarify that.
All flour. Anytime you're grinding up grains or seeds, cassava, I think cassava is a root, whatever it is, you're grinding up. You're exposing the fats. You're releasing the fats and making them more likely to interact with oxygen, leading to oxidation, leading to the ingestion of oxidized fats, and that's even before you've cooked with them.
Right. Now, I one more just quickly. Who do I see about this what about the adrenal glands? You mentioned about the adrenal glands.
Adrenal glands, your stress glands. Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. There's nobody to see. You can't see anybody. There's no to help you with that. But what you can do for your adrenal glands is you can see what happens when you relax the body. Muscle relaxation is the fastest way, or breathing, I should say, is the fastest way, but then muscle relaxation is also a fast way to activate the vagus nerve. Learning to activate the vagus nerve, for everybody out there, learning to activate the vagus nerve is extremely important. The vagus nerve is your relaxation nerve. The doc calls it the 12th cranial nerve, and it plays a major, major role in reversing degenerative disease and activation or loss of tone, I should say, of the vagus nerve. Activation of the sympathetic nervous system is behind most chronic degenerative diseases, at least partially. I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead.
Well, Pharmacist Ben, you've got a hard stop, and you're 5 minutes past that. I
didn't want to not get closure here, but I do have to go. So call next week, or 2 weeks. I'm not going to be around next week, but on the 28th.
In 2 weeks. Good to hear you again, Gary. Thank you so much for joining us, Pharmacist Ben. Thank you so much. We've got so many positive comments, including on our poll that was taken out on YouTube. Wanting to know, did you hit the like button? And the questions are, yeah, it's Pharmacist Friday, or yay, it's Pharmacist Friday, or no, I hate learning ARG. Well, we've got 87% saying yay, it's Pharmacist Friday.
Wait, what's with the other 13%?
I think they just misread the question.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
So
adios.
Thank you so much. Adios to you. And if I could get my team up, that'd be fantastic. We've got Zach saying, thank you, Becca, for a wonderful Zoom, insightful, powerful, life-changing blessing to you and your team. Thank you so much, Zach. We've got Tony doing a shout out from Wisconsin. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining us. I want to thank Brenda for always showing up super duper early, like an hour early. And, we have some amazing, smart individuals who tune in. And folks, if you're tuning in today, you are one of them. So thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc. Today, we have on our team Ruth Ellen Sanchez, my executive production manager, helping to keep us all in line and on task, and taking what we have here in the Zoom, adding on the graphics and pushing it out to all the different platforms. Thank you so much, Ruth Ellen. And we also have Marilyn. So if you're here live with us in the Zoom and you got that chat open, you're going to see a lot of what Marilyn does, and she is absolutely fantastic at doing dictation and putting that information into text so that you can take a screenshot of it and take it to the person that shared this program with you, as they are your point of contact. And again, if nobody is to thank, 855-949-3377. We are doing free 15-minute consultations. So if you're not working with anybody and you'd like a 15-minute consultation at no charge to you to find out what's going to be the best nutritional approach for you. And as holistic health coaches, we look at other things too, lifestyle as well, not just food, not just supplements. So 855-949-3377. We also have with us today Albert joining us from South Africa. Thank you so much, Albert, as it is middle of the night for you, and you are still here helping to let people in, making sure that people can get in quickly to hear information that is empowering like we share each and every Daily with Doc. And we have Rod. Thank you so much, Rod, for joining us. Coach who is helping to keep an eye on all of the different platforms in bringing those questions in, sharing them in the different chats. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I know that we have AJ having some technical difficulties, and he's our technical master, so go figure. But anyways, thank you so much, AJ, for all of your work that you have done in helping to get us on these different platforms and continuing to help promote the message, making us easier to find for everybody that is searching for anything related to what we do. Folks, thank you so much for joining us here today. I know we had a lot of questions we did not get to. We will do another Q&A with Pharmacist Ben in 2 weeks. And next week, stay tuned. We will be live in another area of the United States with Dr. Joanne Conaway next Wednesday. Thursday, we have another guest. So we will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. And Friday, I have one of my dear friends, one of the people that helped me in the hardest times of my life, Cassandra, who will be here next Friday on Daily with Doc. So folks, have a fantastic day, and don't forget to thank the person that shared this program with you. Until next time, my name is Becca Dukes, and AJ has his hand up. Unmute, please.
Just wanted to remind everybody, if you have questions at dailywithdoc.com.
That's right. Questions at dailywithdoc.com. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next time on Daily with Doc. Bye for now.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.